Switching gears, several candidates for Congress have emerged to represent District 15 after Congressman Jose Serrano finishes his term. Bronx Now has reached out to all who have officially entered this race. We recently spoke to candidates Jonathan Ortiz and Thomas Ramos. Joining us today to discuss District 15, his candidacy, and issues concerning District 15 is Assemblyman of District 79, Michael Blake. Good to see you.
Great to be back. Thank you.
We usually see each other in the field,
Exactly.
but now we're here in the studios.
We need it because the air conditioning is hot outside.
It is hot outside.
Exactly.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
And so we want to jump right in. I mean, you have put in your mark for this race, and you're saying that there is a difference between you and the other candidates. Tell us why you are the right man for this position.
I'm the right person for this because I have the clearest vision. When we think about Congress, it is pretty obvious from what we're seeing from the disaster of Trump and the federal administration. It matters who we elect to office in D.C. If you care about public housing, especially in NYCHA, where there were power outages at Jackson houses, you should care about who you elect to Congress. If you care about education and student loans, if you go to Monroe or Hostos or Lehman, you should care about who you send to Congress. If you care about criminal justice, with today being the 5-year anniversary of Eric Garner having his life taken, and wearing the shirt, we'll be there today with the family as we were yesterday. You should care about who you send to Congress. If you care about skills and jobs and wages and minority women-owned businesses, you have to care about who you send to Congress. And the work that I've done with President Obama in the White House and both campaigns, the work I've done for 5 years in the state assembly, providing help to people in the South Bronx, and quite frankly, being a uniter. This cannot be a race where it's about who is bad for other communities. We are saying very clearly, we believe in the Bronx, and that's why I'm asking people to vote for me, Michael Blake, for Congress next June.
Now, one of the topics that you have been very passionate about is housing. That has been a big issue, especially with Bronxites. What exactly are you trying to tackle and to make sure it gets done with housing?
Well, you look at what we were able to accomplish this year in the state assembly. We were able to secure another $100 million on top of the $450 that's finally going to be released for public housing. Now, why is this so important? When we continue to see that people are wondering why is it easier to get unleaded gas than lead-free paint in their homes, something has to change. And the lack of federal investment over decades is the reason. And so, number one, there has to be a very clear focus on public housing. You should not have a party planner and Lynn Patton, the one overseeing NYCHA for the regional efforts, continuing that way. Number two, we have to focus on affordable housing in the macro. Area median income, which determines affordability, that comes from the federal aspect. And I feel very clearly you should have neighborhood-based income. We should understand what's going on locally in our communities. Westchester, Rockland, others should not impact the South Bronx. But lastly, this is also about the broader aspect around the economics of it. And too often we're wondering how we're going to pay the bills in our communities. This reason I said there should be universal basic income. There should be a focus on skills. There should be a focus on wages. Because we understand if you can't pay for your home and you don't have a safe home, nothing else feels that it matters. My family understands this. My family's from Jamaica. I talk about this often. My mom was homeless in Jamaica. We sold dinners to pay rent in the Bronx. I know this firsthand. I grew up in Creston and Burnside. And too often, people are not getting the help. And last week was another reminder of that. We should not have transformers blowing out at Jackson houses.
That's right.
You should not have people wondering if they're going to have cool temperatures in their homes. And that is because you need to have someone who understands this and focus on this. And there is no one in this race that has done more around housing and public housing the way I have. And it's one of the main reasons I'm asking for people to vote for us. They can see that vision of what we're laying out on our website, blakeforcongress.nyc.
I think a lot of questions that the Bronx residents have is, why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long for solutions to for changes to happen? Why am I still not I'm having no heat in the winter, and it's so heat in my house in the summer. So it's like a lot of these issues that keeps on recurring, and they want to know, how long do we have to wait?
Well, it's very clear. The reason why you haven't had help when it came to housing is because the city wasn't doing its job and the feds weren't doing their job. And so for those that are in the city council that are running for this, you have to really ask yourself, what has taken you so long? Why didn't you invest more? Why weren't more changes to occur before this? And on the federal level, Democrats and Republicans were not doing enough when it came to public housing. And we have to be honest that when public housing became black and brown, there was a dramatic change in terms of the lack of investment in our communities. And so now it's saying, let's get serious about this. And you look at what I've done in the last few years on housing, whether it be on public housing, whether it be on Mitchell Lamas, whether it be on affordable housing in the whole. I'm a co-sponsor on the rent regulation bills that we finally have passed to help people stay in their homes and not get kicked out. That's the kind of vision we need to have when it comes to what's happening in Congress. And Congressman Serrano has served us with great dignity. He will be in office for 30 years, and we send love to his family because of Parkinson's and why he's retiring. And this is a question on, who do we want to lead us? Who do we think that can unite the community? When you think about what's happening in our communities, it's not just on housing. The people of Puerto Rico, where you have an administration that is consistently not providing help. For the Dominican community, where too often we're not having an embracing of immigrants. To the African community, where we have the largest West African population in the world here in the Bronx. This is an opportunity for us to come together. All of these communities need help when it comes to housing, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to education, and the work that I have been doing and the vision we want to lay out, because not just about what you've done in the past, how do you move forward? That's what we want to bring to Congress. That's the reason why I'm running to be the next congressional member for the 15th district.
Now, in addition to housing, what other plans do you have on your agenda?
I am very focused on economics and jobs. You know, I had the opportunity to run the minority business portfolio at the White House. I brought it back here in the State Assembly. We passed a law to pay businesses in 15 days instead of 30 days, because if a business gets paid faster, it matters. We're the second place in America to receive the Involve Award, a 10-year commitment for low interest loans. And so that has to be a critical piece of this. So what we're saying to Bronxites, if you elect me as your next member of Congress, I'm going to fight for universal basic income, because you should have an opportunity to start at a fair chance for equity. I'm going to fight to make sure that we get businesses paid faster, in particular minority women-owned businesses that have been waiting too long. And we got to focus on skills and wages. Too often people are graduating and they're wondering, will I get a job? Will I have a chance to excel? Will I have a chance to move forward? And we can't continue to have a system where we're not developing the skills of the future in our communities. We're saying enough is enough. And when you see that in the last few days, you have people like Chris Kobach in Kansas who had the audacity to go on CNN and say that the Bronx is a crime-infested place. When you have individuals that continue to look down on us. One of the main reasons I'm running and the vision of Believe in the Bronx is we are sick and tired of people disrespecting us.
Yes, I was going to talk about that. How do we go ahead about changing? And it has been happening. I think the image of the Bronx has been changing.
Absolutely.
But how do we continue on with that?
We elect Michael Blake to Congress, right? You know, it's that premise of, you know, I'm born and raised here. You know, my family's from Jamaica. I talk about that regularly. I talk about how I went to PS 79, 118, deal with Clinton, worked at the White House, and I came back home. Because we want people to understand that, you know, you don't just have to be one or two things to make it here. And we have to demonstrate that we're going to be that voice. We're not going to be silent when we say to the mayor that it's unacceptable that Pantaleo's not been fired. We're not going to be silent when communities are being disrespected. We're not going to be silent when you're ripping babies from their parents and bringing them to the Bronx. There are several sites in the Bronx that are engaged in this. We're not going to be silent on this, but we're also going to show you what's possible. We're going to show you that greatness comes from the Bronx. We're going to show you that we can make new opportunities happen. And our whole vision is there has to be that voice. When you think about who are you electing to Congress, who do you want to be your face, your voice, your representative, not just to the country, but to the world? When we think about the decisions, I come from a military family household. My oldest brother retired as from the U.S. Army. How do we think about these decisions? What are we doing for Puerto Rico? What are we doing for the DR? What are we doing for Africa? What are we doing for our Garifuna community? That's what I want to show. And the reason I'm excited about this race is I've been doing this work for the last 5 years in the Assembly. I've done it for 6 years and worked for the president. It's now the chance to go represent. And I'm very clear, we have a chance to transform the South Bronx. And we will do that if I'm given the chance to be your next member of Congress. And that's why I'm asking people, check us out, BlakeForCongress.nyc.
Well, good luck. A leader from the Bronx who's willing to stay in the Bronx.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Michael, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
To find out more about Assemblyman Blake for Congress, visit BlakeForCongress.nyc. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be back with more Open.